Hey guys, Beth here at Yogalates London. Welcome to video 3 of my special holiday Yogalates class series. If you're joining us for the first time, then wonderful. You don't need to do these videos in any particular order. So the most important thing is that you're here, you made it to the mat. Wonderful. So let's get started. So we're going to start in child's pose today. So you can have the knees together, the knees apart, up to you, but the feet are, the sort of toes are touching, the big toes are touching, and coming down just to rest in child pose. So closing the eyes and starting just bringing the energy down to the floor. So resting the head onto the floor. If it doesn't reach the floor, then resting the head onto a cushion or a yoga block. And just starting to centre the body in the breath. So just reconnecting to the inhale and exhale. Simple flow of the breath that so often we don't often pay attention to in our daily lives. So taking these moments to really reconnect, just noticing the weight of the body into the floor, noticing the pressure of the breath coming into the belly, maybe against the thighs, maybe that rise in the back of the body with the breath. Just keying into what you're noticing. And resting here in your child's pose, just allowing the shoulder blades to drape over the rib cage. Allowing the shoulders to release, the neck to soften. And from child pose now, we're going to come forward into all fours and come straight into cow position, where we're going to sort of bring the chest forward, arching the spine, sort of dropping the belly down towards the floor, but keeping a bit of core contraction in the belly. And on the exhale, we're going to tuck the pelvis under, bring the chin to the chest, round the spine up to the ceiling. And then inhale again, coming back into that arched position, drawing the chest forward. We're not going to bring the head too far up. We want to keep a bit of length in the back of the neck. And then exhale again, starting from pelvis, rounding up, articulating vertebra by vertebra, mobilizing into the spine. And then again, inhale coming forward, drawing the chest forward, not losing the belly contraction, keeping the navel up to the spine. Exhaling, rounding up. Good. And we're going to come back into a neutral position. We're going to tuck the toes under and we come up into downward facing dog. So we're going to place the hands a little bit further forward. Index fingers in line, spread the fingers and thumbs. And on the exhale, lifting both knees and just starting to pedal out the feet one by one. One heel comes down as the other heel lifts, and alternating. Lifting the hips as high as you can up to the ceiling, getting a lot of length there along the spinal column. And then just lifting up onto the balls of both feet, exhaling, pushing the heels down into the floor. As we feel this lovely lengthening all along the spine. If you're rounding into the lower back here, then do bend the knees a little bit and just lift up through the hips. So it's more important to get a straight spine than straight legs in this pose. Taking a breath in, exhale, we're going to walk the feet one by one to the front of the mat. I'm going to fold over the legs here. Again, do bend the knees if you're a little bit tight in the back of the legs. It'd be really helpful to bend the knees there. Taking a breath in, exhale, we're going to take the hands out and up with a straight back, coming all the way out to a standing position. Coming into prayer with the hands, and then exhaling, bringing the palms into the centre of the chest. We're going to do a couple of sun salutations. So taking a breath in, we can take the hands out and up to the ceiling. Again, really reaching up, tall through the crown of the head, and exhale, coming forward into that standing forward bend again. Again, do bend the knees if you need to. Fingertips to the shins or on the floor if you're very flexible. Inhale, bringing the spine into a nice flat tabletop position, gazing forward, lengthening out of the hips. Exhaling, coming forward, folding over the legs. Hands come down, take the right foot back, quite far back into like a runner's lunge. And we're going to push the feet into the floor. Inhale, draw like you're holding a beach ball between the hands, all the way up to the ceiling. Drawing that right hip forward, left hip back. Bending into this front knee, also keeping the back leg nice and straight and active there. Breathing into that. Taking a breath in, and then exhale, hands come down. Bring the front foot back into plank position. So one nice long line through the body. You can always bend the knees and drop them down to the floor for this. If this is too strong for you, you can always have the knees down. Keep breathing, feeling the lower ribs really lifting up, front of the lower ribs up into the back of the body, Feeling the core switching on there. Take a breath in. Exhale, bringing the knees down, bending the elbows into the sides of the waist, lowering down onto our front. And we're going to come into cobra pose, so tops of the feet into the floor, tuck the tailbone under, taking a breath in. And then exhale, pushing the hands down as we draw the chest forward as far as we can with the chest. So the chest is coming forward. Don't want you to worry too much about lifting too high, more about length through the body with this pose. Keep breathing, maybe pulling the hands backwards as we bring the chest forward. And then on the next exhale, lowering down. Hands come a little bit further back, tuck the toes under, and push the hands and knees into the floor. Lift the bum up into downward facing dog. Rolling the shoulders away from the ears with this pose as well. So we've got a lovely broadening all along the upper back. So we lift the hips nice and tall up to the ceiling, pushing the heels down. Breathing into the back of the legs down. And on the next exhale, we're going to walk the feet one by one to the front of the mat. Folding forward. And then on the next inhale, taking the hands nice and wide again, all the way up to the ceiling. Exhale, hands into prayer. We're going to do that on the other side. So inhale, taking the hands out and up. Reach up nice and tall through the crown of the head. Exhale, coming forward. Hands to the shins or on the floor. Roll the shoulders back, gazing forward into our tabletop position. Exhale, folding at the hips. Hands come down. Take the left foot back this time to a nice, long, deep lunge. Pushing the feet into the floor nice and strongly. Inhaling, the arms come up, holding our beach ball there. And breathing into that, the front knee is going to bend, the back leg is nice and active. We're bringing the left hip forward, right hip back. Keep breathing there. Taking a breath in, and then exhale, hands come down, framing that front foot. Front foot comes back into plank. Again, you can always drop the knees here. Pushing back through the heels if you're in the full plank. Keep the thighs lifted, the core really lifting up to the spine. Front of the lower ribs lifting up too. So we've got this feeling of lift in the body and length at the same time. Reaching through the crown of the head, nice long line through the body. Keep breathing there. And on the next exhale, we're going to bend the knees, bring the elbows into the side of the waist, lowering down onto our bellies. Hands underneath the shoulders, elbows in, tops of the feet into the floor, taking a breath in. And then on the exhale, we're pushing the hands down and bringing the chest forward. Keeping as much length in the spine as we possibly can. If you've got lower back sensitivity, you can always pop a very thin cushion or a blanket underneath the pelvis to sort of alleviate a bit of that arch. If you're comfortable to do so, you can always push the hands a little bit more into the floor and bring the chest forward. Keep breathing there. And then exhaling, lowering down. Hands come a little bit further back. Tuck the toes under, pushing the hands and knees, and lift the belly up into downward facing dog. So that pull comes from the belly, the centre, the core muscles working nice and strongly for us. Keep breathing there. Taking another breath in. Exhaling, bringing the feet one by one to the front of the mat. Folding over the legs here. On the inhale, coming out and up with the hands. You can always bend the knees a little bit here. That's fine. Coming up. Exhaling, hands into prayer. And again, take a breath in. Coming out and up with the arms. Exhale, hinging forward at the hips. Again, you can soften the knees here. That's fine. Fingertips to the shins or on the floor. Roll the shoulders back. On the inhale, gazing forward, lengthening the spine out of the hips. And then exhale, folding forward. Hands come down to the floor. We're going to walk back into downward facing dog. So we're going to work on strengthening a little bit into the core muscles here. We're going to take the weight over onto the left foot. We take the right foot up to the ceiling. We're going to reach up and back with the toes as if you're being drawn backwards with a rope around the ankle. Take a breath in and then exhale. We're going to bend the knee in towards the chest, bringing the knee towards the forehead. We're going to round the spine just like we were with the cow position. And then inhale, coming up. And then again, exhale, curling in. Sorry, cat position rather. So curling in, rounding the spine. Inhale, coming back. One more time. Knee towards the forehead. Really draw the core muscles tightly up towards the spine. Inhale up, and then we place that right foot down onto the floor, and we're going to swap legs. So placing the weight onto the right foot, take the left foot up to the ceiling. Reach up, again, as if you're being pulled backwards with the foot. Take a breath in and exhale. We're going to curl in, rounding the spine, knee towards the forehead. And again, inhale, coming up. Exhale, curling in. Inhale up. Exhale, curling in. Inhale up. Placing that foot down. Taking a breath in. Exhale, coming into plank position. So if you're really feeling the core muscles working really strongly for you here. And then we're going to gently place the knees down and sit back into child pose. We're going to rest in child pose for a moment. Either resting the head onto the floor, or if it doesn't reach the floor, you can place it onto the arms, the hands. So making sure your head is supported in this position. Okay, we're going to bring the hands forward. We're going to reach forward as far as we can with the fingertips, really gripping the mat. And we're going to walk the hands over to the right, keeping the head down until you feel a lovely deep stretch in the left side of the body. We're going to keep the left hip back as we reach forward and over with that left hand. And then back to centre, we can go the other way. So taking the hands over to the left side, maybe off the mat a little bit, sitting back with that right hip. As we reach as far forward and over as we can with that right arm, keeping the hands shoulder width apart. And then coming back with the hands, walking the hands back towards you, coming up to a seated position. And then we're going to sit down onto our bums. So we're going to bring the legs forward, bend the knees, and come down to lie onto our back. So we can do a little bit of core work on our back. We're going to bring, first of all, we're going to extend the right leg. So right leg is going to extend with the knees in line with one another, really pointing to the toes there. On the exhale, we're going to sweep that leg down, just as low as you can without arching into the lower back. Feel the neutral spine in place there. And then inhale, coming up with the leg. Exhale, we're going to rebend the knee without drawing that thigh in. So really slowly placing that foot down in the same spot that you left it. We're going to left leg now. So inhale, extending the left leg. Exhale, sweeping down, really extending out of the hip joint. As much length as you can, slow, slow, slow. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, rebending the knee, thighs in line. So we're not drawing the knee in, we're making sure the knees stay level. Okay, so just continue with that. Right leg extends. Exhale to lower. Inhale, up. Exhale, rebending the knee, slowly placing that foot down, feeling the core engaged. Inhale, left leg. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up. Exhale, bend and replace that foot. So if you've got any low back sensitivity, just continue with that variation. If you want to advance it, you can bring the legs up into like a 90-degree angle. You're going to extend, same exercise, so extending the right leg, sweeping it down, coming up, and then placing the leg back to where it was. So this is slightly tougher because we're raising the legs up off the floor, so it's a lot stronger for the core. Again, if you're feeling any sensitivity in the lower back, maybe don't lower the legs so low. Or just come back to that variation, we've got one foot on the floor. Okay, making the next one on the left leg, the last one. Coming back, just hugging the knees into the chest, rocking side to side, just loosening up any tension in the lower back there. You can place one hand on the one knee, one hand on the other knee, and just circling the knees, one in one direction, one in the other. Just loosening up the hips, and then reverse, taking it the other way. And then we're just going to hold the knees open for an inner thigh stretch, rolling the feet around the ankles. So immobilise around the ankle joints there. And then reverse, taking it the other way. And we're just going to do one more ab exercise. So we're going to bring the knees into the chest. If you've got lower back sensitivity, then do practice this with both feet on the floor. Placing the hands behind the head, we're going to extend that left leg about 45 degrees from the floor. We're going to peel the head and shoulder blades up off the floor, lengthen the back of the neck there, and the elbows nice and wide. Taking another breath in up into the chest, and exhale, we're going to curl up and over left elbow towards the right knee, and then inhale, we're going to switch, everything comes back to centre. Exhale, extending the other side, so curling over towards the left knee. Inhale back to centre, exhale, right knee. Continuing with that. Like I said, you can always do this with the feet on the floor. This adds a little bit more juice to the oblique muscles and sides of the waist. Really extending through that lengthened leg as if it's being drawn away from you. Excellent. One more round, curling over to the right. Inhale back to centre, exhale curling over to the left. And back to centre, lowering the head down, just hugging the knees again. Good. Rocking side to side there. Okay, so we're going to roll over onto our side and do a little bit of side lying work. So classic kind of Pilates stuff. We're going to bend the knees, placing the feet in line with the back of the body. So lowering yourself down so you're in line, the back of the body's in line with where the feet are, so you can lift up the feet and just check they're far back enough. Knees together. We're going to lift the waist up off the floor, stacking the hips on top of one another. If this is not good for your neck, you can always support your head onto a cushion. Okay, we're going to take a breath in, and on the exhale, we're going to open that top knee, feet stay together. Inhale, lowering down, and then exhale, opening up. This time, we're going to extend that top leg, point through the toes. Toes come back together, knees come back together, and just continuing with that. Really feeling the work in the leg and the glutes as we really extend out away from the hip. Keeping the pelvis really stable so we're not leaning back with the upper body. Good. And then making the next one your last one. Awesome. Okay, we're going to come down, we're going to actually extend that top leg now, and we'll do little circles. Making sure those circles are as even as possible. And then we're going to swap directions, take it the other way. Okay, marvellous. I'm going to place the hand in front for balance, keeping the lift of the waist up off the floor, the hips stacked. We're going to extend that bottom leg. And we're going to flex both feet. And we're going to hover both feet up off the floor. And on the exhale, we're just going to lift a little bit higher with that top leg. Inhale, lower. Good. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Just continuing with that, feeling the work in the leg, glutes. Core is working really strongly for us to keep us stable in the upper body here. So it's just the lower body that's moving. Nice and slow, steady, precise Pilates work. Yeah, making the next one your last one, and then coming down and pushing yourself all the way up. We'll do that on the other side. So bringing the legs other end of your mat, but still facing the same direction. So we've not turned over. So we're going to keep the waist lifted up off the floor. Again, the hips stacked, making sure that the knees are together, but we're actually bringing the feet a little bit further back so the feet are in line with the back of the body, and dropping the feet down on the floor then. Hand to the top of the hip, take a breath in, and exhale, opening that top knee, feet stay together. Inhale to close, and then this time we're going to exhale, open and extend, point through the toes. Toes come back together, knees come back together, and again, open and extend. Toes come back together, knees come back together, keeping the hips, the waist lifted up off the floor, the hips stacked. So really extending out of the hip joint there, pointing through the toes. Good. And then bringing the knees together, we're going to extend that top leg, and we're going to do little circles. So pointing through the toes here, really feeling that extension as if that we've got a rope attached to the toes, being sort of pulled in the opposite direction. So really feel that lift of the waist off the floor, the core engaged there. Nice even circles with that foot. We're keeping everything else nice and still in the body. So it's just that leg moving in the hip joint. And then reverse, taking it the other way. So really nice to target the legs and the bum. It's great for this kind of glute work, this kind of Pilates leg exercises. Excellent. Okay, placing the hand in front, bringing the bottom leg underneath, flexing both feet and lifting the legs up off the floor. So core is switched on nice and strongly there. I'm going to lift that top leg. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Good, just keeping on with that. Hopefully you should be feeling a little bit of heat building in the leg and the glute now. Okay. Good, making the next one your last one, coming down, good. We're going to roll over onto our front. I'm going to come into the slight back bend, the locust pose, which we did in the video 1, I believe. So tops of the feet into the floor, arms alongside the body, and instead of having the arms alongside the body for this variation, we're actually going to bind the hands together, so interlace the hands, roll the shoulders back. If you can't get the hands together and get the arms straight, if you're a little bit tight in the shoulders, then do hold like a strap or a belt between the hands at about shoulder distance instead. Otherwise, if you can bind the hands, that's great. Tops of the feet into, top of the forehead into the floor. Tops of the feet grounding down, engage the legs, and slightly push the pubic bone down into the floor to lengthen the lower back. Take a breath in and exhale. We're going to extend the arms back and lift the arms as high as you can. The shoulders are going to want to like round forward here. Keep lifting the shoulder heads away from the floor up to the ceiling and lifting the arms as high as you can. If you want to, you can lift the legs as well. So thighs lifting, reaching back through the toes. Nice long length through the crown of the head. Keep breathing. Keep lifting those arms up away from the floor. Keep lifting the shoulders. And on the next exhale, lowering down, head comes to one side. Just shimmy shake the pelvis side to side, loosening up any tension there. Coming into stillness, just taking a moment to pause. Taking the head to the other side. Good, bring the head back to centre, placing the hands alongside the body, tuck the toes under, pushing the hands and knees and lift the bottom up into all fours. Bringing the hands back towards, we're going to tuck the toes under there, so we're going to bring ourselves up into standing forward bend. So using the hands to support you, so you're coming up. Want the feet hip distance apart, which is about 2 fist distance apart from one another. Folding forward, allowing the arms to be heavy. You can always hold the opposite elbows. Folding forward there. You're going to let the arms go. We're going to come straight into chair pose. So actively engaging the arms. We're going to inhale, the arms come up to about shoulder height. And we're going to sit the hips back. So we've got this lovely lengthening action in the spine. Core is engaged. We don't want too much of a tuck or a tilt of the pelvis. We don't want to be rounding, certainly. So sticking the bum back a little bit and getting a bit more length there, but also keeping the front lower ribs into their body. So we've got a lovely long line there as we're sitting back to find that sort of low bar stool. You can also bring the arms alongside the ears if you want to. But it's important that the arms are sort of actively engaged with one another as if you're sort of holding a beach ball there. Shoulders soft. Taking a breath in and exhale, pushing the feet to the floor, coming all the way up to standing. We're going to come into a wide stance here. Just going to do a couple of standing postures, turning the toes in. We're going to turn the one of the feet out, whichever you like. We're going to line that top foot in line with the heel in line with the back arch, turning back toes in, slightly engage the thighs. Inhale, the arms come into chest. Exhale, bending the front knee. Back foot is really strong and active into the floor. Gazing over those front fingertips, finding a point of focus for the eyes. As we drop the hips down a little bit deeper. Checking that the front knee is staying nice and wide. We want to see that big toe. And then on the next inhale, we're going to place the hand down onto that straight leg. We're going to inhale, bring this front arm up to the ceiling, open, and come over into what we call reverse warrior pose. Keep the bend in the front knee, opening the chest. And on the next exhale, coming all the way up. We're going to turn those toes, the front toes in. I'm going to turn these toes out and do the same on the other side. So heel in line with the arch. Inhale, the arms come into chest. Exhale, taking the front knee into that bent position. Back foot pushing nice and strongly. Warrior two. So keeping the chest open. Check that front knee is nice and wide. We'll see that big toe. And we don't want to take this knee too far past the ankle either. Back leg nice and strong and active. Softening down with the hips a little bit deeper with each exhale. Placing the hand down on that back leg. Inhale, the arm comes up, front arm comes up, opening with as much length as we can through the spine as we come over into this lovely reverse warrior pose. Bending into the front knee. Take another breath in, and then exhale, pushing the feet into the floor, coming out to a straight position, turning the toes in, hands to the hips. It's like you tuck the pelvis under, opening through the chest. Exhale, coming forward into the wide-legged standing forward bend, Padottanasana as it's known. Placing the hands down. If you can't get the hands down, then do pop them onto a block, or a yoga block is perfect, but if you don't have one, then maybe a pile of books or anything that might help support you and keep the spine nice and long and straight in this pose. Breathing into that. Hinging forward at the hips to really feel that lovely deep stretch. Placing the hands back onto the hips, engage the tummy. Keep the length of the spine. On the exhale, we're going to come all the way up, again, keeping that core engagement there. Okay, we're going to bring the feet in towards one another. Feet are hip distance. I'm going to plant the feet down. As if we're holding a beach ball between where the hips are, between the hands. We're going to find a point of focus with the eyes. I'm going to inhale, draw this beach ball all the way up to the ceiling, coming up onto the balls of the feet. Keep breathing there, shoulders relaxed. And then exhale, lowering down nice and slowly, heels come back down to the floor. And again, inhale, coming up, finding a focus. And then again, lowering down nice and slowly with that beach ball. And one more time, inhale, coming up. Breathing while you're up there, nice and long, deep inhalations and exhalations. Keeping the focus. And then again, exhaling, coming down. Excellent, good. So make your way down to the floor. We're going to bend knees. We're going to do a little bit of a hip and bum stretch. First of all, we're just going to take the head to one side, back to centre, over to the other side. Just loosening up the neck. Good, and then coming back to centre. I'm going to place the left ankle on the right thigh, flexing that left foot. You can either stay there if that's enough, or you can lift that right foot off the floor, bring that knee towards just hands around that right thigh. Or you can have around the shin if that's okay for you. If you're very flexible, that might be a good option. Everyone's different, so find what's suitable for you. You can always pop this right foot on a yoga block if you find that's enough. And you want to try and keep the sacrum down here and grounded. So we're really opening into the hip and the bum here. Breathing into that lovely stretch. And placing that right foot down, left foot down. Right ankle on the left thigh. We're going to do the other side, so you can always draw that thigh in if you want to. Flexing this right foot to protect the knee. Just means that we don't put too much pressure on the inside of the knee there, keeping that foot nice and flexed. Again, keeping the sacrum down, so we're getting a lovely stretch there into the right hip and bum. And then just releasing the foot. We're going to bring the bum over to the left side of the mat, bring the knees into the chest, and drop the knees over to the right for a gentle twist. Looking in the other direction to the knees. If you need to support underneath the knees for the lower back, that's fine. You don't have to get the knees all the way down to the floor. It's also really important to keep the shoulders down. Just relaxing into this lovely twist. Slowing the breath down now as we're coming back down to the floor. Drawing the knees up, placing the feet on the floor. Bring the bum over to the right side of the mat, knees into the chest and over to the left with the knees. Maybe looking in the other direction, if that's okay for your neck. And then bringing the knees back up into the chest, giving them a nice big hug. And then extending the legs long into our final resting pose, Shavasana. If you've got lower back sensitivity, do bend the knees, place the feet on the floor, or you can just pop a cushion underneath both knees to alleviate the lower back a little bit. Allowing the palms to rest either on the belly or alongside the body, palms facing out, the arms a little bit away from the sides of the body. Closing the eyes and just coming into final relaxation. Just going to be here for a few minutes. So allowing the weight to come back down to the floor again, grounding the body after the practice. So lying onto the floor, taking this moment of pause at the end of the practice is really important for our energy levels, for the nervous system to rebalance after this sort of vigorous practice. I'm thinking about it like the body is a snow globe. It's a very festive theme, I suppose, snow globe. And it's all been shook up during the practice. We've got lots of energy circulating around the body. It's just taking that moment, that time at the end of the practice to let that snow settle back down to the floor and for everything to come back to its sort of resting state. This sense of balance in the body and breath is absolutely key to our health and wellness. Taking more rest. So just noticing that inhalation through the nostrils, a slightly cooler air on the inhalation, and the slightly warmer air on the exhalation. The rise and fall of the belly with the breath. Not forced, just allowing it to be as it is. The natural breath. As we allow the belly to soften completely and release any of that core work, that contraction in the belly that we've been engaging today. Allowing a sense of softness to return. Feel free to stay in Shavasana, the final resting pose, for as long as you like. But if you're ready, you can bring a little bit of movement into the fingers and toes, starting to wake up the body, deepening the breath. Bringing the knees into the chest, hugging the knees. Rocking side to side, and coming over to rest over onto the right side. Pushing yourself up to sitting, keeping the eyes closed. Taking another moment to just settle the energy before we move on with our day. Bringing the palms together at the heart center as we bow our heads. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for these classes. If you're interested in working with me in the new year in West London, you can check out all the information at my website. That's yogalateslondon.com. You can find out information about private tuition, the group classes that I run in Fulham, Hammersmith, and in St Margaret's in Twickenham. And the new term of classes starts on the first week of January. There's just a few spaces left, so do check out all the information if you're interested. In the meantime, have a fabulous new year. Namaste.